Hey guys, welcome back to this series of front-end web development. In this video, we'll look at the CSS images and we'll try to understand the margin and paddings. A lot of people get confused between these two, like where to use margin and where to use padding. So let's just start it. So this is what so far we have reached in the last video. If you if you're new to HTML and CSS, do consider watching my previous videos of this series. And to start with CSS images, let me just add an image, obviously. And let me just get rid of this extra stuff from here. Okay, now I can add image tag, and inside this src I'll say sample.jpg, and inside my project folder, if you see, I have this image called sample.jpg. So yeah, it should be there. I just save it and get back to my output. So this is how it looks now. Let me just add some CSS to the image. To add this, I'll add an img selector inside our internal CSS section, and this img section will have the CSS rules for this img tag. And now let me just add a width to our image, and I want the width of 400 pixels. Let's save and go back. Okay, yeah, this looks fine. And to bring our image at the center, we'll use the center tag around our img tag to make it center. Okay, now it is at the center. Now we'll try and add some more CSS. Now let me just show you the box shadow property, and this box shadow property takes three values. The first one is the, not three, actually four. The first one is the X, the shadow, the X position of the shadow. Second, the Y position, and third is the blur, the amount of blur of the shadow you want. Let me say this 10 pixels. And the last one is the color of the shadow. Let me just take hashtag 555, and it will give us a slight gray shadow in our image. As you can see, it's slightly visible. Let me just make it a bit darker so that you can see it more clearly. As you can see, we have this glowing shadow around our image. And let me just elaborate you what these values are. If I make this blur value 0, you can see the spread is 0. If I increase the Y position, it is shifting towards the Y direction. You can have either minus values, as you can see. Now it is shifted towards the minus position. So similarly, you can have this 12, and you can see it is shifting towards the X position. So let me just make it gray, and now it looks a bit fine. Now let's just add a border radius to our image. And border radius, what it actually does, it actually rounds the corners. Let me say 10 pixel. If I save and go back, now you can see the borders are slightly rounded. If you increase the value furthermore, let's say 30, it will round it more. Now you can see it clearly. Similarly, we can have a border for our image, and this takes three values. The first one is the border width, let's say 2 pixel. The other is the border type, let me just take it solid, and the third is the border color. Let me take red. Now if I save and go back, you can see we have this red border, and if you increase the width, it will increase the width furthermore. And now this property, this solid, you can have a dashed value over here. It will give us this dashed kind of border around it. You can even have doubled, and it will give us the double border. Okay, it should be double. Okay, as you can see, we have now double border around. So let me just take the solid property for now, and in beside this red color, we'll have this complete dark color around our. Okay, now it looks better. or maybe this shadow color. This will look more okay. Now it looks fine. Now let me just start with the margins and paddings. To actually start with margins and paddings, let me just remove everything from here and make it complete blank, because I have to elaborate you like how margin and paddings are different from each other. So for this, let me just create a empty div, and inside this div we will have some text. Okay, now if I save and go back, you can see this is how it should look. Okay, now to elaborate, let me add a background color to our div. So we'll add a background color. Okay, color red. Okay, this is how it's looking now. Now let me add a padding. If I add padding of 20 pixel, now let's see what happens. You can see padding is clearing the space inside the div. Okay, now if I add margin of 20 pixels, it is actually clearing out the space outside the div. It is actually, this is 20 pixel, this is 20 pixel, and this is 20 pixel around the div. So you can see the difference between the margin and padding. Now if I add padding again and save and go back, now you can see there is a slight margin between the corner of the screen and this div. This is because the body ships with the default margin. So to get rid of it, we can say margin 0 in our body, and now it's completely attached to our viewport. Okay, so what you have learned, so we have to remember that padding clear out the space inside the element, which is div in our case, and margin clear out the space around outside of that element. Now let me just get back all the stuff we have created by hitting Ctrl plus Z. Okay, now we have our stuff back. Okay, so now let me just wrap these things inside a div. So now I can add margin to our div, let's say 20 pixels. Now you can see our div having this margin from left, top, and right. We have this red background color. It is due to this div. Let me just clear out. Now it's fine. And now let me add more margin. So now we can assign each values of margin left, top, and bottom separately. We can do this by, let's say, margin top 100 pixels, margin left 200 pixels, margin right 200 pixels, and you can have margin bottom, let's say 100 pixels. So this is how it is looking now. It is having this 100 margin at the top, 200 to the left and right, and 100 at the bottom. So, and you can do all these four properties in one line inside this margin. The first value it takes, if you put only one value, it will add the left, right, top, and bottom margin as 20 pixel. If you use two values, let's say 20 pixel and 50 pixels, the first value will be assigned to the top and bottom, and the second value will be assigned to the left and right. Let me just save and get back. Hit refresh. Now you can see, and to elaborate it, let me increase this value to 100 pixels. Now if you refresh, you can see we have this 100 pixel at the left and right, and the 10 pixel at the top and bottom. So similarly, we can have our four margins inside this same line. We can do this by adding four properties of margin. Let's say 20 pixel for the top, and for the left we want 200 pixels. For the bottom we can say 20 pixel, and for the right sorry, left, we can have 200 pixels. And if I save and go back, you can see it just works fine. It is adding the margins for all of our for all sides. So yeah, now let me add just padding to our paragraph. If I say padding 30 pixels, it will shift our paragraph inside. Okay, now I don't want this shift from the top, so to do that, so I just make the top and bottom value 0 and the left and right value 30 pixels. Okay, now it's just fine. Okay, we are done for this video, guys. I'll try to move a bit more faster from the next video because we have a lot more to cover in CSS. So subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and like and share this video with your friends. Thank you. That's me signing off.